Hi there, and welcome on the journey to transform culture. I'm Steve, and I'll be your guide. Well, folks, hope you're having a fantastic day and an even better week. Well, folks, in this video, trigger warning all the way around. Not so much because I'm going to be pushing anybody's buttons, but I'll be talking about a lot of the buttons. Okay. So if any of those sorts of things, step on your toes, and feel free, watch at your own discretion, though this will not be anything other than PG or G. I mean, I'm not going anywhere dark. Okay, so anyway, in this video, folks, and just let me preface, a lot of times we jump in talking about organizational culture because that's where we come together to work as teams to accomplish a goal for a customer, right? But all the dots connect, folks, whether it's your friend groups, your family, different clubs and organizations you're involved with within the community, your faith groups, all of it, right? All the dots connect. And because of that, anything that we glean here, let's use in a productive, positive way to help improve our lives and the lives of everyone around us. And hopefully this one will be, a topic that we can chew on that will help in all aspects of life. So, and you might be asking, Steve, what is the topic? Well, of course, it's probably on the header already, but this one is being aware of the cry for help. Now, this one is delicate, obviously, because I personally can talk to situations where family members in the past that I hadn't heard from in years, out of nowhere, just leave these wild voice messages, right? And I thought, oh, what's this about, right? And you don't always put the pieces together to figure out what's going on. And that, people when they act out, right? Act out or just blow off steam like, that randomly. Or in your organization, it could be a situation where you have different members of your team just kind of, pop their top and lose it a little bit and go off. And it's possible too. You may have some members of the leadership team. You may have a leader similarly do the same thing, right? And what it is you get this, typically doesn't come across is people saying, oh, I'm so stressed out about this. Actually, people don't lose their stuff and just blow off steam like that if about the actual root cause, okay? Typically, and the reason this is part of the reason I'm bringing it up, is because how it manifests is rather than just blowing off steam, now I'm going off on you about something, something minor or, we'll say more rudimentary, not the end of the world, right? And blowing up on people, right? Now, I have seen situations or have been privy to situations where leaders had done this with team members. And I've seen where team members have blown up on other team members, right? And really just blew up, and it could be camouflaged in the technical, right? It could be that the critique or the situation may be you're not doing the job right or the quality, and it could be couched in potentially legitimate compartments like that, the quality, the productivity, oh, you're late, all the things, right? These things oftentimes when somebody blows up, these are just camouflage. And what you have to understand, and why are we talking about this? Because people will do these sorts of things sometimes, usually, or on a more routine basis if it's more of their personality or what they have going on. And some never do it, right? And it's the ones that never do it, those are going to be the obvious ones for this. But you have to see all of this as a cry for help. if somebody just starts blasting you for something, right? Or starts pick, poke, pick, poke, pick, poke. First thing that you should be thinking of, and it usually isn't because we're human beings and we were like, whoa. We want to set the record straight and make sure, whatever, right? What you should be thinking is, why is this person doing this? And what's going on in their world potentially that is making them this way, right? And or why are they reacting and whatever's going on in their world to make themselves this way, right? And because everybody has, it's a choice, right? If we blow off steam like that, and by blowing off steam, I don't mean in a healthy way. If we're going above and beyond and outside the lines of good order, decency, right? Let's call it that. There's a reason, right? There's always going to be a root cause to every broken down thing has a root cause of the reason why it broke down, right? It can be us as humans. It could be something we didn't do, right? If you forgot to do this, then all of these other things happen. Then you may be ticked off at yourself. And then what? Take it out on your coworkers, right? Take it out on the cashier when you go to get gas. We see this, in culture all the time, where it's not the root cause. And more often than not, it's a root cause that we're not privy to, okay? It may be that people are dealing with different things. They may be dealing with relationship issues in their personal life. They may be dealing with health issues, right? Because not all of it's going to be, say, of a nefarious or, shady thing. It could be somebody has maybe, their parents had some tough health news, right? And so they're emotional and stressed and all this. Their only avenue, I won't say their only avenue, the only avenue that they are now choosing to utilize to let go of some of that is to go off on other people. And definitely not what we want to do, right? But for those of us who are not going off, right, first of all, let's caution ourselves. If we get to that place, this is where we need to go seek out professional help, right? You need to talk to counselors or clergy or family and so on and so forth, right? Do so, right? Do that. Don't lose control on other people, right? Obviously, if you have close friends or confidants that, you can blow off steam, obviously that's probably typically your first stop, right? They know you, they know your life and, whatever. That's a safe bet, right? But if you're going to go overboard on people who are unsuspecting, it's probably going to get you into trouble. And it's just going to be ugly from there, right? So there's that part of it. But on the other side of the coin, for those of us who may be, walking down the road minding our own business, and all of a sudden somebody's just obsessively right? And this is in any facet of culture. Understand it wasn't you, right? People that cross 4 lanes to cut your lane off don't know who you are, okay? They're just being a pinball wizard bouncing around the freeway, right? So keep that in mind. You aren't the root cause of this. You may be the target now, right? Now this also enters into a whole new facet of this. Let's talk a little bit about the narcissist, right? A narcissist, when they're getting overstressed and all that, they don't really have to be overstressed. Their typical mode is they're either perpetrating or they're a victim, okay? But when they're frustrated and things are going awry, what do you think they do? They go and find their targets. They find their targets. When they run out of their supply of targets, they find new targets, right? And they do these same similar things, right? But this is a mode of their normal operation, where there are people who maybe just lose their stuff, right? The narcissists, this is the way of life for them, okay? Now, if the leadership or anyone on your team, organization, well, in any facet of life, really, but if anybody is like that, and being like that is giving permission for the rest of the team to be like that, you can see how the organization now can quickly become a narcissistic organization, right? Essentially, the behavior becomes the recruiting tool, unspoken recruiting tool for these types of behavior. And you may have people now, you may have the whole team just going nutso and going off on each other, right? And just lambasting each other, right? The communication, horrible, disrespect, all the things that we don't want to see. But again, draw it back to its baseline. Don't take a personal affront to it, or don't let it personally insult you. If somebody is going off, or if there's something of that nature going on, understand something else is going on behind the life and the situation for that individual. This may be that you get a flood of texts from a supervisor. You may get a flood of texts from a team member. You may get a flood of whatever, right? The communication channels don't really matter so much. It's really what's going on. If it's just a shotgunning of accusations and thises and that's and you don't do's and does, well, then somebody's unhappy, right? Somebody in happy camp isn't happy anymore, and understand that, right? And also understand you're not the root cause of it. Now, it doesn't mean you're not a contributing cause, okay? If you're a person, and I've seen this in situations when I was, up and coming myself, where there's always one or two people out there who identify who these folks are, who lose their stuff pretty quickly, and they kind of tease them. They kind of egg them on them just enough to keep them, going. And for the most part, those folks aren't serious, but I've seen where that can get out of control too. So, don't do that. It's not healthy. It's not good. It's not a great way to handle things, right? And it could be because these folks have, very serious things going on behind the lines. Now, they're disrespectful, unprofessional, then handle that in a very cogent, methodical way, going through the processes that are in place for those things, right? Outside of organizations, though, I would say identify that it's not you. It's going to be the folks who are, just going ham on you, okay? They've got something behind the scenes, and they probably need to deal with that. And also understand, too, if you're the target, you're also likely not the solution to the problem, okay? Because there may have been something that you did or said or whatever it was that triggered them. And because you triggered them, now you're not going to be the one to set them straight, right? You may feel like you want to, because I'm not standing for that, and I'm going to let you know why I'm not standing for that. That's your own business to go down that path. But understand, you're probably dealing with somebody who has something going on the other side. And the reason why I tell you this is because if you come at that 110 miles an hour back at somebody like that, they're going to dig in a little, of course, and they probably will, fall into powdered sugar, and and they won't be able to deal with it. They're not doing that so that you'll come back at them 110 miles per hour with, let me tell you, right, type stuff. They really want to be heard. They really want somebody to go, what's going on? What's wrong? What's really digging at you? What's really eating at you? Da-da-da. Now, if people are high on the narcissist, tendency line, those folks, you're not going to solve that problem. You're the target. You are not going to be the solution. And those folks have to find their own solution. Now, organizational, leaders in organizations and so forth, and others, decision makers in organizations, have to make the call. If this becomes a way of life for certain people who are basically tormenting other members of your team, well, those people aren't probably going to last very long on your team, right? And people who are being tormented in your organization, well, they're probably going to leave if you're allowing, overly prima donna type behavior to continue to torment these folks, right? So then that starts your organization down a cycle of not taking care of the team, not holding fast to high standards of behavior, right? So it's nothing to be afraid of. It's nothing to be worried about, but be aware. If you're armed with the notion or the idea that if somebody goes bananas on you, they've got something going on that they haven't addressed, something they need to deal with, and just and just receive it from that perspective. Now, if you need to pass that along to their supervisor, or if it's outside of professional work, say, look, I don't know what's going on with you, but it's not about me, and this isn't acceptable. So until you get, reframe yourself, calm down. If you want to come back to me with what the real problem is, right? Now, if they come back, blah, 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 you, well, that's not seriously the problem, right? And so they haven't done the due diligence. It's like, look, you need to go figure it out, and don't bring this behavior around me again, right? Just disallow that. It's a boundary. You need to put up a boundary for those types of behavior. It's just not acceptable. Don't need to be rude. Don't need to be provocative. You don't need to be any of those things. Remember, it's not about you. It's about what frustration they have. Now, in your mind's eye, you may be thinking, well, this is be like a team member. Da, da, da. Look, folks, this could be a business owner. This could be a leader in an organization, right? Who have just gotten away with treating people poorly for so long. They just do these things, right? And then when the team member goes, whoa, 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 we're not having this, XYZ, next thing you know, that team member mysteriously is let go or fired, right? And these are scenarios that happen in organizations where employees will go back to try to, track back onto that say functional leader or whoever it was. So leaders and support staff, you need to be above board. You need to be the example in your organization, not, this isn't your role and your position isn't a free pass to take advantage of the hearts and minds of the people working for you, right, on your teams. You're there to be good stewards of resources to provide and empower your team to take care of your customers, right? That's it. You're not sitting on some magic throne that's to be worshipped in any manner, any way, shape, or form. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you're going to become an even better leader, right? And because you're going to be more humble about your position and your role. And then when your team sees that, and then things start getting, you get a healthier organizational culture and a healthier tempo going on, right? So these are the things to be aware of. Remember, it's just a cry for help. Whenever people are acting out like they can, it's a cry for help. And, just make sure that you are communicating in a succinct, professional, kind way that it's not acceptable. They need to take care of whatever they need to take care of, right? If there's something that's really bothering them, that, if you feel like you want to take that on, great. Otherwise, let them pursue their own solution there. It's not your obligation to solve other people's problems. So, but on that note, folks, hope you're having a fantastic day. Remember, hit that good green domino 3 to 5 times a day to uplift, motivate, inspire, and just encourage one another. When you do this, not only helping to transform culture, but you're transforming your own life. And don't forget, we can't transform anything on the outside. We're not first willing to transform on the inside. This is so important. All right, folks, have a fantastic day. Hit like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, we'll talk to you later.